Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mike rolls on this Friday morning. Chat some UND hockey coming up in our second hour. Figure the only way to end the week in style, especially on Valentine's Day, is to give our hardcore viewers one of our favorite guests, which I don't need any other reason to talk to him, but there's a pretty good one this week with the story we've been following for the last 10 days on the bill that's been proposed by the North Dakota legislature to basically allow unlimited transfers in high school sports. Each side got to offer some testimony on Tuesday in the state capitol, including our next guest. Well, he was invited, but they ran out of time. I don't know if the legislature knows how big a deal one Mike Zier is. So you got bumped? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I don't know if I got bumped. I was the fourth person in our group to speak, and when the third one was done, I was like all fired up. I looked good. I was ready. I was prepared. And then they're like, "Well, that's our 45 minutes. We're done. Thanks for coming." So I'm like, "Great."
All right, it's great to see you. Just give us, for the people that maybe aren't following this, Mike, what's the genesis of this idea, and why are so many the passion of this so opposed to it?
Well, I think the genesis of it is that there's always transfer rules, and there's people that that it affects, whether they don't follow them or they don't like them. In this case, I think it's they don't like how the hardships are done. Um, but to me, we can talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But to me, this whole unlimited, allow someone to transfer whatever they want to have a quote rental agreement. So we could have a playoff game on Saturday in Beach, and then my four best players could be on that team that just beat us the next Saturday because they got a rental agreement with their uncle who lives in the same town. And then, or even worse, they could play football on Beach, they could play basketball in Belfield, and they could run track in Hazen.
Wow.
Now, is that really good for education?
I think you know my answer on that.
Yeah.
I guess the hardship rule, get us the lowdown on that and what goes into it and why, because to me it seems like we're looking to fix something that's not broke.
Well, first off, you're 100% correct there. This year, currently there's been 12 hardships. 10 of them have been approved, so two have been denied. You'd have to look at the numbers through the years. As an AD, we've had plenty of hardships in Beach, and they've been approved or denied based on what they want. With the Activities Association, I think the thing that people don't understand is the Activities Association. They are flexible. They don't seem like it, but they are. I'll give you an example. 2 years ago, we were down in Grant County and we played a football game, and well, a fracas broke out. Okay, and kid got tossed from the game. I'm not saying the Beach kid should have been tossed from the game, Dom, but he wasn't. So now they've changed that a year later that you can have video evidence. If you have video evidence, I mean, my point is that they are flexible.
Yeah.
So if they want to look at that, they could. But the bottom line with the hardships are, someone has to make a decision, and I'm not unsympathetic to hardships. I understand it, but at some point you have to draw the line.
So if I have the bill correct or the rule correct for the high school association, the student must have been in attendance at the school for at least one calendar year upon transfer to become eligible, unless the parents have become residents of that school district. There's no evidence of recruitment in certain cases of parental employment.
Yeah, you're talking right now, right,
Yeah,
Dom?
correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, and then the big thing now is if you transfer, you have to move lock, stock, and barrel, right?
Correct.
So your dad cannot, your parents can't still be married, and your dad moves to a different town, gets an apartment, you go play there, and then come back to your mom or whatever. It's move lock, stock, and barrel. And again, the people who testified for the bill, their big thing is how that is determined. But this bill is a train wreck. If the bill passes in its current state, it will destroy athletics. Two states, Dom, West Virginia and Florida, have went to this, and you ask anybody,
Wow.
it's ruined athletics down there, and it creates super teams. And don't kid yourself, people will recruit. I mean,
Yeah.
they won't say they will, but they will recruit. Hey, we need a guard. One guard away from the state tournament. Or hey, I need a 189 pounder. We're that close to the state championship.
How many kids, honestly, Mike, you may not know that, so maybe just parenthetically here, how many kids actually does this affect that are transferred? I mean, is it that many that I don't know about?
So a lot of, I mean, you don't hear about the positive ones, right?
Yes.
The 10 people whose hardships were approved weren't at the Capitol to testify,
Hmm.
and so yeah, I mean, it affects people because people move around, things happen in life, and to me, if you have the black and white with the appeal process, now if that changes, if the activity association changes that, maybe goes to a committee or something like that, maybe that makes people happy. But the other thing that we should talk about, Dom, is why is the North Dakota State Legislature even looking at this?
Yes. Yes.
Should the legislature be dealing with an entity? 91% of member schools said that they did not want changes to the transfer rules.
Yeah.
91%.
Can't get 91% of anything anymore. You can't even get 50% of anything anymore.
No,
That to
look at
me, yeah, that to me, you're looking to fix something that's not broke. That just bar none, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you could tweak it, right? I mean,
That's
they've
fine,
shown that.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if they want to tweak the hardship, how they go about the hardships, and they don't want just the executive director or whoever to do it. They want a committee, whatever. But I'm telling you right now, Dom, if you start getting committees and stuff involved, that's only going to take longer, right?
yeah.
Because then you got more people that got to be available for the meeting, et cetera, et cetera. So be careful what you wish for.
Well, and this is me and probably either grandstanding or pie in the sky. Like, don't they have bigger fish to fry in the state legislature these days? I know they do. Like, I don't understand
Well,
why this is under the microscope right now.
yeah, I mean they got the big issue of the year already done with rhubarb being the state vegetable. So yeah, I would say that they probably have more
Oh
important
man.
things to do, and I get it that their constituents come to them with complaints and problems, and they bring it up. But we're talking about this, uh, um, and I mean, this would completely change. I think schools potentially could shut down their athletic programs,
Yeah.
could, and coaches would get out. And this is, I'm not being all doom and gloom. I just think that's a fact. Look what it's done to college.
I was going to get to that in a second. You were there. Zach Volson spoke. I know how much you think of that family. He's about as well respected a student athlete as there is. What did that? Did you see that have impact on the legislators?
Yeah, I think it did, and you're right. He's a great young man. We got a lot of downtime when you're at the Capitol, so we talked some football, and I coached his brother Tanner in the Shrine game,
Yep.
and a great young man, and it should have an impact because they need to hear that from the kids, and not just administrators. They need to hear it from the coaches. They need to hear it from the people that have had positive effects of it.
Where are we at now, Mike? Where did things leave, and what's next on this?
Well, I mean, if it comes out of committee and then if it goes to the Senate, they could still go to the floor and vote on it.
Yeah.
Um, I, I can't see it not getting amended or defeated.
Yeah. And its current form, it really has no chance. I would imagine, right?
Well, I would hope not.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did you think that rhubarb would be the state vegetable, Dom? I mean, you never know what can happen, right? So anything can happen in Bismarck, Dom.
Yeah. I would think some amendments to this would be necessary because I know Jim Jonas brought this up, former West Fargo football coach and now legislator as well, that you could have, and this sounds extreme, but you could have someone play one sport for one school in the fall, transfer and play for a rival in basketball or hockey in the winter, and transfer and then run track or baseball and in the spring. That's not on the realm of possibility. Under this proposed bill, they could an athlete could do that.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Man,
And don't, people say, "Wow, that wouldn't happen." Yeah, it
yeah, it
would.
would. Yeah, it would.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yep.
would. So, I mean, I've been a teacher and a coach for 26 years. I probably have had 2 or 3 phone calls about stuff in my classroom, academic wise, and the other 98% have all been about sports.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it matters.
Let me ask you this, because you and I both follow ardently college football. The biggest, I'm a huge proponent of the transfer portal. I'm not trying to be hypocritical here, because I value player movement and the ability to do that. But it's apples and oranges to me. I don't think they're comparable. What's your opinion on that?
Well, first off, no, because we have to be, like I always tell our kids, we're student athletes. You're a student first. Now, when you're in college, all right, number one, you're an adult. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can make that choice if you want to, transfer for a different field or a better shot or whatever. But in high school, I mean, I think it's more important to stay in your school, stay with your peers, and then just work together instead of just saying, oh, things are tough. Let me give you an example. Our girls basketball team last night went down to Belfield and got into, we won our play-in game. Now, they had a tough year. They've had a tough couple of years, but they kept working, kept battling, and last night it paid off for them. So why that win means more than if you just go to some other superstar team
Yeah.
and you just come off the bench.
Yeah, because I know people will have already said to me, well, you're a big fan of the transfer portal in college. Why can't this exist here? And it's not it's not the same. There's you mentioned it, the age deals is a big thing on this. And plus, yeah, is anybody complaining about literally going to transfer because of playing time in high school? Then we've got a whole other, I mean, that would
Dom,
be a bad road to go down in my mind.
Why did it take so long for us to get to 3 class?
Yeah.
Right? Because they want Epping versus Hillsboro.
Yes.
Do they not understand that if this happens,
Hmm. Yeah,
there will
correct.
never
Yeah.
ever be anything
No.
like that. There will never be small communities that could pull anything like that off
No.
because their best players would get picked away, and people are like, "Oh, that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't happen." Yes, it would.
Yeah. I heartily agree with that. Before we go, sources indicated to me, though, that you were wearing a suit or a suit coat at the state. Is there proof of this? Is there video,
Yeah.
photo,
Well, there's
anything?
probably video, and then the worst part is I had to come back, and we had a girls' basketball game, so my students had to see it. But yes, I have a sport coat that was
Nice.
required by the Coaches Association when I became president. I had to get one.
Can we guarantee this for the Coda Bowl next November? Can you break that out for us?
No, I'm doing football, Dom. I'm not wearing suits and ties when I'm talking football. All right. I'm already nervous enough when I do that, Dom. I don't need to be wearing a sport
Man,
coat
you do
for a
great.
statewide television.
I really appreciate you giving us a few minutes this morning trying to explain this, and it's great to see you. Be well, and I'll see you down the road, okay?
All right. Thanks, Dom.
Mike Zier, head coach at the Beach Buccaneers football and athletic director out in Beach. He was one of the members that were speaking on Tuesday at the state capitol about this proposed unlimited transfer bill. I go back to it, people would say, well, I watch your show. I get enough political stuff during the day. And I hear you. There's enough, though, that crosses over because sports and politics just keep getting intertwined, and they have been forever. It's not just lately. I would say to the legislators, and if Nico Rios wants to come on the show, feel free, because he's the one who's sponsoring this, who brought it up. Isn't there other things going on that do need rectifying? This doesn't seem that rises to the level of, well, we gotta get this one wrapped up, because it might sound hyperbolic. I don't think so. Where you could have, I really believe that someone will go, well, I'll play football at Davies, right? Because I know they're going to be good. Or I'll play football at Horace, right? Then I'm going to transfer. I'm going to play basketball at Davies because I know they're loaded. And then in the spring, well, if I can run track at South, or if I can run track at West Fargo, sure. Got an easier chance to win a state championship there? Yeah. And you're going to say about, well, how is that different what you do every day when we're covering guys that are going in the portal that, the guy we had on last week, Jack Giuliano from New York, who's on his 7th year of football and his 3rd separate school. There's a couple guys on the Bison basketball team. They're on their 3rd separate school. Those are adults making those decisions, right? Mason Miller for the Bison basketball team started his career at D2 at Truman State. Someone thought he was good enough to then move up to Division I and play at Indiana State. He had a year left because of the COVID year thrown in there. He's going to go, and then he spent it at NDSU. It's not apples to apples here. It's like apples to grapefruit in my mind on what we're talking about with the Bill in North Dakota. Appreciate Coach Zier giving us a few minutes here. We'll break. We come back, wrap up our first hour. Brad Schlossman on deck in hour 2. As UND has a big series on the road at Denver. That's coming up as we roll on a Friday morning edition of Hot Mike. We're back after this.